Okay, so this is kind of big. For some reason, whether it was Thursday patch or Tuesday patch, Heavy-Handed has just decided to work with some slide melees now. And if you don't know what that sentence means, don't worry, I'll explain. Firstly, Heavy-Handed is a mod that gives you back half of your melee energy after you use it, as long as your charge was light. And then slide melee is typically an aspect that will modify your melee if you use it while sliding. Now, these two things have never worked together before. You've never been able to get the bonus of Heavy-Handed if you used a slide melee. Every other melee, majority at least, have always worked, but slide melees in particular have just never worked. It's been almost like a rule throughout the entirety of the game. But as I said before, for some reason it's just decided to work with specifically 2 melees. Now the reason why this is important, or big I guess you could say, is because it allows you to get infinite of these slide melees, or almost infinite of these slide melees, without using an exotic. Meaning you can obviously use your exotic for something else which maybe increases melee damage, which actually kind of turns out to be the case. The 2 melees that for some reason have gotten access to Heavy-Handed's power is Lightning Surge on Arc Warlock and, hello editor here, I don't know how, but I managed to screw up the pronunciation of this melee every single time I said it. So instead you're just going to be greeted by this.
Consecration. Consecration.
On Solar Titan. Now, Lightning Surge can't actually really take much advantage of this. You do have Winter's Guile, which is essentially Wormgod's Caress, but for Warlock, but it's not exactly very good. Winter's Guile is kind of a niche exotic in PvE anyway, it's just so hard to upkeep. So Lightning Surge with this is, you know, not particularly anything incredibly overpowered. However,
Consecration,
on the other hand, is the exact opposite. You see, for
Consecration,
of course, because you're on Titan, you can use Syntho Step, which gives you a 3 times melee damage bonus modifier. I don't... what do you call that? You get the point. And you only need to be near enemies to proc it, which makes it very, very good. But that's not just it, because of course
Consecration
is on Solar, and Solar Titan has Roaring Flames, which also increases damage of your abilities. I mean, you can have both Syntho Steps and Roaring Flames, and then of course pair that with the infinite melee you already have, and you have a very, very strong and consistent melee. But that's not just how far
Consecration
goes, because
Consecration
is way, way stronger than you'd probably expect. And the reason being is because
Consecration
ignites targets, and that ignition will also count as melee damage, meaning it gets buffed by Syntho Step and Roaring Flame, which in total means you just have a very, very blankly strong melee. And then you also have the ignition of it, which, may I add, do AoE damage, which are also very, very strong. And then if you pair that with a almost basically infinite melee, it makes it very, very practical. In fact, so practical that I took it into a Master Nightfall with literally no modifiers benefiting this at all, and you are very, very easily able to, like, one-shot 2 champions at the same time. Well, at least almost one-shot. It all depends on the ignitions, because remember, ignitions are AoE, meaning if you ignite multiple targets with
Consecration,
you will do more overall damage. That's why this is so powerful, because you can essentially just triple your damage if you just ignite 3 targets at the same time. So yeah, that's just pretty neat in general, I'd say. Unfortunately though, it doesn't really go much further than that. You can't really boost it anymore. I guess you could use Wormgod's Caress if you were really feeling a little, you know, spicy. But if we're talking practical senses, Wormgod's Caress is not going to work in like a Nightfall. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That's about it. See ya.